My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. The voice on the other end was sharp, controlled anger barely contained beneath each word. A few hours ago, my marriage was intact. Not perfect, maybe, but solid. Or so I thought. Because a few hours ago, a stranger called me and told me the truth my husband had been hiding for a year. It was a Monday morning. I was at work, sitting at my desk with my coffee, going through emails like it was any other day. When my phone rang, I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. "Is this Lena? Darren's wife?" the man asked. "Yes, who's calling?" I replied. Something about his tone made my stomach drop. "This is Trevor. Your husband got my wife pregnant," he said. The office around me didn't disappear. People were still typing, phones were still ringing, someone was laughing at the water cooler, but I couldn't hear any of it anymore. Everything went silent except for the pounding of my heart. "What?" I whispered. "I have proof, text messages, screenshots, everything. We need to talk," Trevor said, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. I stood up without thinking, my chair rolling backward. My coworker glanced over, concerned, but I couldn't acknowledge her. I walked toward the conference room on autopilot, phone pressed to my ear. "I need to see you," I said. "Today. I can't wait. I need to know everything. Now." "I can meet you this afternoon," Trevor said. "Where?" "There's a coffee shop in Richmond, Brewster's. Do you know it?" I asked. "I'll find it. What time?" he asked. 2:00, I said. "I'll be there. I'll bring everything," Trevor said. After we hung up, I stood there in the conference room, staring at my reflection in the dark computer screen on the table. I looked the same face, same hair, same clothes I'd put on this morning when everything was normal. But nothing was the same. Nothing would ever be the same again. I had to get out of here. Had to leave before I fell apart in front of everyone. I walked to Larry's office, knocking on the doorframe. He looked up from his computer. "Larry, I'm sorry, but I need to leave. It's an emergency," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Larry's expression shifted from concentration to concern. He stood up, studying my face. "Lena, are you okay?" he asked. "It's not like you, going home when you just clocked in. What's going on?" I need to take care of something urgent," I said. My throat was tight, eyes burning with tears I couldn't let fall. "Not here, not at work." Larry came around his desk. We'd known each other since college. He could read me better than almost anyone. "This is serious, isn't it?" he said quietly. "If you need more time off, just let me know. I know you too well, Lena. You wouldn't ask to leave if it wasn't a matter of life or death." He paused. "But I have the feeling this is about Darren." My composure cracked. Just for a second, but Larry saw it. I can't talk about it right now," I whispered. "I promise I'll explain later. I just need to go." "Of course, go. Take care of whatever you need to take care of," Larry said. "And Lena, I'm here. Whatever this is, whenever you're ready to talk, I'm here." "Thank you," I managed, then turned and left before the tears could start. I made it to my car before I broke down. Sitting in the parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, I sobbed. Hard, gasping sobs that I'd been holding back since Trevor's call. My husband was having an affair. His mistress was pregnant. The man I'd trusted completely, the man I'd built a life with for 8 years, had been lying to me. I cried until I couldn't breathe, until my chest ached and my eyes burned. Then I looked at the clock on my dashboard. 11:30. I had 2.5 hours until I met Trevor. I needed to pull myself together. I got to Brewster's coffee shop 15 minutes early and sat in my car, trying to compose myself. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At exactly 2:00, a tall man in civilian clothes walked into the coffee shop. Even from the parking lot, I could see the exhaustion in his posture, the tension in his shoulders. "It's Trevor." I took a deep breath and went inside. He was already sitting in a back corner booth, a manila envelope on the table in front of him. When he saw me approaching, he stood. "Lena?" he asked. I nodded and slid into the seat across from him. We sat in silence for a moment, two strangers bound together by betrayal. "Thank you for meeting me," I finally said. "I'm sorry," Trevor said. "I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you." "How did you find out?" I asked. Trevor's jaw clenched. He pushed the envelope toward me, but didn't open it yet. "I was deployed to Germany for 11 months. I requested early leave to come home and surprise Aubrey, my wife, for our anniversary. I told her I'd be home in 3 weeks. That was the plan. But I came home early to surprise her. I even booked us a weekend at a resort in the mountains, he began. He paused, and I could see the pain in his eyes. I came home 3 weeks ago. She wasn't there. I figured maybe she was at work or running errands, so I waited. I went into our bathroom, and he stopped, taking a breath. I found pregnancy tests, 5 of them, all positive, just sitting there on the counter. My stomach dropped. I didn't understand at first, Trevor continued. I thought maybe she was going to surprise me, tell me we were having a baby. But I've been deployed for almost a year. The math didn't make sense. Oh God, I whispered. I went into our bedroom. Her iPad was on the bed. I set it up for her when I deployed so I knew the passcode. I opened it and found her messages. Trevor said, his voice hardened. Months of text between her and Darren. I love yous, plans to meet up, everything. And there was a medical note from her doctor's appointment, 12 weeks pregnant. He opened the envelope and pulled out screenshots. The first one showed a text conversation. Aubrey, I can't stop thinking about last night, Darren. Me neither. Tuesday, same place? Aubrey, can't wait. I'm counting down the hours. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. There were months of messages, Trevor said quietly, going back almost a year, and then I found this. He handed me another screenshot. Aubrey, I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant, about 12 weeks. I took 5 tests, all positive. Darren, are you serious? Aubrey, yes. I don't know what to do. Trevor comes home in 3 weeks. Darren, we'll figure it out. I love you. 12 weeks. 3 months. While Trevor was deployed serving his country, his wife was pregnant with my husband's child. There was also a medical note, Trevor said, pulling out a document from her OB/GYN appointment, confirming she's 12 weeks pregnant. I stared at the note, the words blurring as tears filled my eyes. I left the house that day, Trevor continued. I had to. I was so angry I knew if I stayed, if I confronted her right then, I'd do something I'd regret. So I packed a bag and checked into a motel. Then I called a lawyer. Which lawyer? I asked. One of the attorneys at Weber & Associates. Arlene Weber, actually. She handles both military and civilian cases. She suggested I hire a private investigator before confronting Aubrey to document everything for the divorce. So I did, Trevor said. He pulled out another document, the PI's report. The investigator confirmed they worked together. Your husband manages the graveyard shift at the call center downtown. Aubrey is one of the assistant managers on his team. The PI followed them for the past 2.5 weeks. Trevor's voice was bitter. They meet at the Crossroads Inn twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday mornings, right after their shift ends. They check in around 7 a.m. and stay until 2 in the afternoon. 7 in the morning. When I was already at work, when I thought Darren was home sleeping, the PI also found out about you, Trevor said. Got your name, your number. That's how I knew to call. Arlene said you deserved to know the truth, that you had a right to make informed decisions about your marriage. I couldn't speak, couldn't process everything I was hearing. I haven't confronted Aubrey yet, Trevor added. She still doesn't know I'm back, or that I found out. She thinks I'm still in Germany. Arlene suggested I serve her with divorce papers first, catch her off guard so she can't hide assets or prepare a defense. When? I managed to ask. Within the next few days. The papers are being prepared now. I wanted to talk to you first, make sure you had the evidence you needed, Trevor said. He pushed the envelope toward me. It's all in here. Screenshots of their messages, the medical note, the PI's report, hotel receipts. Make copies. Use it however you need to. I took the envelope with shaking hands. They work together, I said slowly, the pieces falling into place. That's why I never suspected anything. Different shifts. I'd leave for work in the morning, he'd be sleeping. I'd come home in the evening, he'd be getting ready to leave. We barely saw each other during the week. Same with me and Aubrey, Trevor said. Except I was in another country. I trusted her completely. We sat in silence for a moment. What will you do now? I asked. I've already filed for divorce, Trevor said. I found out 3 weeks ago and I went to Arlene right away. She's the one who suggested hiring the PI to document everything before serving Aubrey. The papers are being prepared now. Aubrey will be served within the next few days. His expression hardened. I demanded a paternity test be included in the divorce settlement. I wanted on record that I have no legal or financial responsibility for Darren's child. The math is clear. I've been deployed for almost a year. She's 12 weeks pregnant, but I need it official. Are you going back to Germany? I asked. No, my deployment's over. I'm done, Trevor said. I came home 3 weeks early on leave to surprise Aubrey, found out about the affair instead. My deployment officially ended last week, so I'm back for good now. I'm planning to move to Las Vegas in a few months to be near my family. Get a fresh start. I flinched at the mention of starting over. That's what I'd have to do too. I wanted children, I heard myself say. I've wanted them for years, but Darren always said he wasn't ready, that it would be too hard, too expensive. My voice cracked, but apparently he was ready with her. Trevor reached across the table, not quite touching my hand, but close enough to offer comfort. I'm sorry. This is devastating, I finished. Arlene Weber is excellent, Trevor said. I can give you her contact information. You'll need a good lawyer. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. I picked it up. Arlene Weber, family law attorney. Thank you, I whispered, for calling me, for showing me the truth. You didn't have to do any of that. Yes, I did, Trevor said firmly. We're both victims here. We both deserve to know what they were doing behind our backs. We sat there for another hour, two strangers sharing the worst day of their lives, going through the evidence piece by piece. With every screenshot, every receipt, every detail, my marriage crumbled a little more. When I finally left the coffee shop, manila envelope clutched in my hands, I felt numb. My marriage was over. I just hadn't told Darren yet. The next day was Tuesday, hotel day. Darren thought I was at work right now, completely oblivious while he was with her. He had no idea I'd taken time off, no idea that I knew everything. I stayed home, cried some more. Then I started looking. I went through Darren's nightstand, his dresser, his pockets. Nothing. Then I found his laptop in the closet. In 8 years of marriage, I'd never snooped through Darren's computer. I'd respected his privacy, trusted him completely. But this was different. I opened it and went straight to his email. Found a confirmation from 4 months ago. Coastal Breeze Resort, Jacksonville, Florida, 5-day stay. Guests, Darren Reynolds, Aubrey Mitchell, July, the work conference in Tampa he told me about. I found the airline tickets. They'd flown together. Then I found his Google Photos, a folder labeled Florida. I clicked on it, even though every instinct screamed at me not to. Darren and Aubrey on the beach, at dinner, in bed together. 23 photos of them looking happy, in love, like any other couple on vacation. I printed them all, sobbing as each one emerged from the printer. I still loved him. Even knowing what he'd done, part of me wanted to believe there was some explanation. But there wasn't. He'd chosen her. Over and over again. I couldn't take this level of disrespect, this complete betrayal. I gathered the photos and turned off the laptop, putting it back exactly where I'd found it. That's when the idea hit me. Crazy, reckless, but I needed to see them together with my own eyes. Not in photos, not in texts. I needed that final confirmation. I changed clothes, grabbed my sunglasses to hide my swollen eyes, and drove to the Crossroads Inn. I parked across the street in a coffee shop parking lot where I had a clear view of the hotel entrance. Then I waited. The minutes crawled by. I kept checking my phone. 1:30, 1:45, 2 o'clock. What was I doing here? What did I think this would accomplish? But I couldn't leave. I needed to see it with my own eyes, needed it to be real, not just screenshots and photos and hotel confirmations. At 2:07, the hotel entrance doors opened. They came out together. Aubrey was petite, blonde, younger than me by at least 5 years. She was laughing at something Darren said, her hand on his arm. Even from across the street, I could see the easy intimacy between them. The way she leaned into him, the way he smiled at her. He never smiled at me like that anymore. They walked toward the parking lot, still talking. Darren's hand moved to the small of her back, a gesture so familiar it made my chest constrict. That's where he always put his hand with me. I got out of my car. I didn't think about it, didn't plan what I'd do or say. I just stood there in the coffee shop parking lot, in plain view, and waited for him to see me. It took less than 10 seconds. Darren glanced across the street, and his eyes landed on me. I watched the recognition hit, watched his face drain of all color, watched his entire body go rigid with shock. "Lena," he called out. The word carried across the distance, raw with panic. Aubrey turned, confused, following his gaze. When she saw me, Her hand dropped from his arm. Darren started running toward me. "Lena, wait! Let me explain." I turned my back on him and walked to my car. My hands were shaking as I unlocked it and got in. He reached my car just as I closed the door, pounding on the window. "Lena, please open the door!" Darren shouted. I tried to start the car, but my hands were trembling so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. Then the tears came. Hot, blinding, unstoppable. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. I was sobbing so hard my whole body shook. "Please, Lena, let me explain. Just talk to me." Darren was still banging on the window, his voice muffled but frantic. Across the street, Aubrey stood frozen in front of the hotel, watching the scene unfold. She looked scared. Young. Pregnant with my husband's baby. I finally got the car started, put it in reverse. Darren jumped back as I pulled out of the parking space. In my rearview mirror, I saw him standing there in the middle of the parking lot, watching me drive away. My marriage was over. I knew it with absolute certainty now. I'd seen it with my own eyes. By the time I got home, I'd cried myself out. My eyes were swollen and raw, my throat ached, but I felt eerily calm, empty. I went straight to the kitchen and made myself a cup of coffee. Strong, black, the routine of it grounding. I was sitting at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around the warm mug, tears still falling silently, when I heard his car pull into the driveway. 30 minutes. It had taken him 30 minutes to get home after I left. He must have broken every speed limit. The front door burst open. "Lena!" Darren's voice was frantic. "Lena, where are you? Please, we need to talk." I didn't answer, just sat there staring at my coffee. He found me in the kitchen. His face was flushed, hair disheveled, eyes wild with panic. "Lena, please, let me explain." "It's not," he started. "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't say it's not what it looks like. We both know exactly what it is." "I can explain," Darren said. "There's nothing to explain," I said. My voice was flat, emotionless. "I know everything, Darren. The affair, the hotel, the pregnancy, the trip to Florida. I know all of it." He stared at me, and I watched the blood drain from his face. "How long have you known?" he whispered. "Long enough," I replied. "Lena, He moved toward me suddenly, wrapping his arms around me. "I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." He was crying, actually crying, his body shaking against mine. I stood there, arms at my sides, not hugging him back, not responding, just there. "Please," he sobbed into my shoulder. "Please forgive me. We can work through this. I love you. I'll end it with her. I'll do whatever it takes." I pushed him back gently, not roughly, just enough to create space between us. And then the words came. The question that had been burning inside me since I saw that pregnancy announcement. "Do you remember the time I had that pregnancy scare?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tears streaming down my face. 2 years ago. "Do you remember how you reacted?" Darren's face went pale. "Lena, you were furious at me," I continued. "You said I was careless, that you weren't ready, that a child would make everything too hard." My voice cracked. "You knew I wanted a family, you knew I wanted kids, and you made me feel like wanting that was wrong." "I didn't mean," he started. "And yet," I said, my voice rising now, "you got her pregnant, and you weren't mad. You told her you'd figure it out. You told you love her." The words tasted like poison. "Why, Darren? Why were you ready for her and not for me?" Darren's face crumbled. Tears streamed down his cheeks. He opened his mouth, struggling to find words. I wasn't thinking," he stammered. "You know what?" I said, holding up my hand. "Never mind. I don't actually want to hear it." I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something break inside me that would never be whole again. "All I know is you chose her to be the mother of your child over me, your wife," I said quietly, "and that hurts me the most." The silence that followed was deafening. Darren stood there, sobbing, unable to speak, and I turned around, walked past him, went upstairs to our bedroom, and locked the door. I heard him follow, heard him try the handle, heard his fist hit the door. "Lena, please, open the door. We have to talk about this." Darren shouted, but I didn't answer. I just lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Eventually, he gave up. I heard his footsteps retreat down the hall to the guest room. I picked up my phone and called my sister Rosie. "Lena?" she answered. "Hey, I was just about to call you. I'm at the airport heading to LA. 2-week work seminar. What's up?" "Rosie," I said, my voice breaking, "I need to come stay with you when you get back." "What? What happened?" Rosie asked. Darren's been having an affair. She's pregnant, I said. Oh my God. Lena, I'm so sorry, Rosie said. I'm getting on the plane right now, but the second I'm back, you're coming here. Start packing, okay? 2 weeks. Just hold on for 2 weeks. Okay, I whispered. I love you. We're going to get through this, she said. After we hung up, I lay there in the darkness. 2 weeks. I could survive 2 weeks. Then I'd be gone from this house, from this marriage, from this life I'd thought I had. Chapter 6, the days after. The next few days were a fog of grief. I stayed in the bedroom mostly, only coming out when I knew Darren was asleep or at work. I cried. God, I cried so much. I'd stop for a while, feel numb and empty, and then I'd remember something, a vacation we'd taken, a promise he'd made, the way he used to look at me, and I'd start crying all over again. Darren tried everything. He'd knock on the bedroom door in the mornings before going to bed after his shift. Lena, I made you breakfast. It's outside the door. Please eat something, he'd say. I never touched it. He'd leave notes. Long, rambling apologies slipped under the door. I threw them away without reading them. He'd call through the door. Please, just talk to me, yell at me, scream at me, anything. Just don't shut me out like this. But I had nothing to say to him. What was there to say? He'd made his choices. I'd made mine. By day 5, I'd stopped crying. Not because the pain had lessened, but because I physically couldn't cry anymore. My body was just done. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. I looked like hell. Eyes swollen and dull, face gaunt, hair unwashed. I'd lost weight I didn't have to lose. You don't deserve this, I said to my reflection. You need to move on. Something shifted in that moment. I was still heartbroken, still devastated, but I was done punishing myself for his mistakes. I started coming out of the bedroom. I'd make coffee in the kitchen, take a shower, sit on the couch. If Darren was there, I simply didn't acknowledge him. Lena, please, he'd say. Can we just talk? I'd walk right past him. He'd make breakfast, set it in front of me. I wouldn't look at it, wouldn't look at him. The silence drove him crazy. I could see it in his face. The panic, the desperation. He wanted me to yell, to cry, to react. But I was done reacting. I was just done. On Friday, I called Arlene Weber's office. Weber and Associates, how may I help you? The receptionist answered. My name is Lena, I said. I need to schedule a consultation for a divorce. My husband is having an affair and got his mistress pregnant. I'm so sorry you're going through this, the receptionist said kindly. Let me check Miss Weber's availability. Can you come in today at 11 a.m.? We just had a cancellation. Yes, I said. I'll be there. I got dressed, left the house without saying a word to Darren, and drove to her office. Arlene was exactly as I'd imagined from Trevor's description. Sharp, professional, intimidating in the best way. Tell me what's going on, she said after I sat down. I handed her the envelope Trevor had given me, plus the printed photos from the Florida trip. My husband has been having an affair with a coworker for almost a year. She's 3 months pregnant. I want a divorce. Arlene went through the evidence methodically. This is very solid. Text messages, hotel receipts, medical documentation of the pregnancy, photos from a vacation together. You have an excellent case for fault-based divorce. How long will it take? I asked. With evidence this strong, and if he doesn't contest, we could have you divorced in a few months. I'll prepare the papers. We can have him served early next week, Arlene said. The house is in his name, I said. He bought it before we got married? That complicates things, but you've been married 8 years. We'll fight for compensation based on your financial contributions to the household, Arlene said. Do you have a joint bank account? Yes, I replied. I recommend opening a separate account in your name only. Start protecting your assets, she said. We spent the next hour going over details. By the time I left, I felt lighter despite everything. I had a plan, a way forward. When I got home, Darren was awake, sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee. Where were you? He asked. I walked past him without answering and went upstairs. About a week after I'd seen them at the hotel, I was in the bedroom when I heard Darren's phone ring downstairs. Then I heard his voice, panicked and rising. What? You got served? Divorce papers? Darren said. I went still, listening. Trevor had served Aubrey. He kicked you out? Where are you now? Darren asked. A pause. Aubrey, I can't be with you right now. I'm dealing with Lena, and Darren said. Another pause. Can you go to a motel for the meantime? I'll see you there tomorrow. Don't go to work. I'll take care of it, don't worry, he said. I opened the bedroom door and walked downstairs, made sure my footsteps were loud enough for him to hear. Darren spun around, phone still to his ear, and went pale when he saw me standing there. I didn't say anything, just looked at him, made sure he knew I'd heard every word. Then I turned around, went back upstairs, and closed the door. Behind me, I heard him say into the phone, "I have to go. I'll call you later." My phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. "Just served Aubrey the divorce papers. She's out of the house. Thought you should know." I texted back, "Thank you." I heard Darren on the phone with her. "He's panicking." "Good," he replied. "They should panic. How are you holding up?" "Surviving," I replied back. "My lawyer says Darren will be served early next week. You're doing the right thing." "We both are." "Good luck, Lena." I set my phone down. Soon Darren would be served too, and then it would all be official. The next few days passed in a strange limbo. I barely spoke, barely ate, just existed in this house that didn't feel like home anymore. On Tuesday morning, I made sure to leave the house early. I didn't want to be there when the process server arrived. I drove to a coffee shop and waited. At 9:30, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Lena?" a man asked. "Yes," I answered. "This is Rick from Apex Process Service. I just served the divorce papers to Darren at your residence. He signed the acknowledgement. You're all set," he said. "Thank you," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. It was done. My phone buzzed almost immediately. A text from Darren. "Divorce papers? You're really doing this?" I stared at the message, then deleted it without responding. Another text from Trevor. "How are you holding up? Aubrey's been blowing up my phone." Apparently Darren's freaking out. I typed back, "He got served this morning. It's official now. Good. You deserve better than what he gave you. We're gonna get through this. Both of us." I hoped he was right. When I came home that afternoon, Darren's car was in the driveway. I took a deep breath and went inside. He was sitting at the kitchen table, the divorce papers spread out in front of him. I didn't say anything, just went straight upstairs and started packing. I heard his footsteps on the stairs, then in the doorway. "What are you doing?" Darren asked, his voice strained. I didn't look up, just kept folding clothes and placing them in the suitcase. "What does it look like I'm doing?" "You're leaving," he asked. "Yes," I replied. "Where are you going?" he asked. I finally turned to face him. "Why does it matter?" Because you can't just leave. We need to talk about this. We need to figure things out," Darren said. "There's nothing to figure out, Darren. You got served. I'm leaving." "That's it," I said. "But the house, the finances, everything," he said. "My lawyer will handle it, or you can get your own lawyer." "But I'm not discussing this with you," I replied. He ran his hands through his hair, looking frantic. "How long have you known? When did you find out?" I zipped up one suitcase and started on another. "Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters. You've been planning this, talking to lawyers, and I had no idea. When did you?" he said. "When did I find out you were cheating?" I interrupted, my voice sharp. "Or when did I decide to leave? Because those are two different questions." "Both. Either." "I need to understand," Darren said. "No," I said, shaking my head. "You don't get to ask questions now. I'm the one who should have a lot of questions. When did it start? Why did you do it? Did you ever really love me? But those questions are useless now. The answers won't change anything." "Lena, please," he started. "The house is in your name," I said, pulling clothes from the dresser. "So you get to keep it. Lucky you. I'm staying with my sister." "You don't have to leave. I can go. I'll stay with." He stopped, and we both knew what he'd been about to say. "With your pregnant girlfriend?" I finished for him. "That's convenient." "She's not. We're not," Darren stammered. "Save it, Darren. I don't care anymore," I said. He watched me pack in silence for a moment, then said quietly, "I never wanted to hurt you." I stopped what I was doing and turned to face him fully. For a moment, I just studied him. This man I'd spent 8 years of my life with, this stranger I'd thought I knew. "You know what the sad part is?" I said softly. "I actually believe that. I don't think you woke up one day and decided to destroy our marriage. I think you just didn't care enough to protect it. And that's somehow worse." I turned back to my packing. "Lena," he said. "I need you to leave me alone so I can finish packing," I said. "Can we at least?" he started. "No," I said. My voice was firm. "We can't. There's nothing left to say. Just go." He stood there for another moment, then finally left. I heard his footsteps going back downstairs, heard the guest room door close. I finished packing both suitcases, then looked around the bedroom one last time. This room where I'd slept alone so many nights while he worked. This house where I'd built a life I thought was real. I didn't feel sad leaving it behind. I felt free. I carried my suitcases downstairs. Darren came out of the guest room when he heard me. "That's it? You're just leaving?" he asked. "That's it," I said. "When will I see you again?" he asked. "You won't. Everything goes through the lawyers now," I replied. I opened the front door and loaded my suitcases into my car. When I came back for my last bag, he was standing in the doorway. "I'm sorry," Darren said. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry." I nodded. "I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back the year you spent lying to me. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that you're having a baby with someone else." I picked up my final bag. "Goodbye, Darren," I said. "Lena, wait," he called out, but I was already walking away. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away without looking back. In my rearview mirror, I could see him standing in the doorway, watching me go. But I didn't slow down, didn't stop. I just kept driving toward my sister's house, toward whatever came next, toward a future that was finally mine alone. I stayed with Rosie for 2 weeks while apartment hunting. She never pushed me to talk, just let me process everything in my own time. Eventually, I told her everything. She cried with me, raged for me, and helped me pack when I found a small one-bedroom apartment across town. It wasn't much, a second-floor walk-up with older appliances and creaky floors, but it was mine, just mine. No memories, no ghosts of a marriage that never really existed. A few days after I moved into my new apartment, I was unpacking boxes when my phone buzzed. A voicemail notification. Darren. I stared at it for a long moment. I should delete it, should block his number completely. But something made me press play. His voice came through, heavy with tears. "Lena, I know you probably won't listen to this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. You didn't deserve any of it." A pause. I could hear him crying. Maybe it was because we didn't see each other that often. If we did, it was just for a few moments, or weekends when we both didn't have to go to work. She was there all the time, at work. His voice cracked. "I'm so sorry. It's not an excuse. There is no excuse." Another pause. "I'm so sorry I got her pregnant. There's no excuse for that either. But Lena, I need you to know, I love you. I really love you. I'm sorry I made you go through this. You don't deserve this." He was sobbing now, barely able to get the words out. "I hope you find your happiness. I hope the man you find will treat you way better than I did. You deserve someone who will love you the way you deserve to be loved." A long pause. Then quietly, "Goodbye, Lena. For what it's worth, I saw my future with you. But it's my fault. It's all my fault. I love you. Take care of yourself. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." The voicemail ended. I stood there in my half-unpacked apartment, phone in my hand, and felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Just a dull ache where my heart used to be. He was sorry. He loved me. He saw his future with me. But none of it mattered now. Words couldn't undo what he'd done. Apologies couldn't change the fact that he'd chosen someone else to build a family with. I deleted the voicemail, and I went back to unpacking my new life. The divorce proceedings moved faster than I expected. Darren didn't contest anything. Arlene said that was unusual. Most people fought over something, even if it was just pride. But Darren signed everything his lawyer put in front of him. He tried to reach out a few more times after that voicemail. Texts, emails. I deleted them all without reading them. What was there to say? What explanation could possibly matter now? Eventually, the messages stopped. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Final decree, judge's signature, everything official. I was just Lena again. 2 days later, Darren wired the settlement money. Full payment, no payment plan, no delays. The amount made me sit down hard when I saw it in my account. It was his savings, everything he'd been putting away since we got married. 8 years of careful saving gone in one transfer. Arlene had been surprised. "He didn't have to give you this much," she'd said. "The house being in his name complicated things. We would have gotten you something, but this is guilt money." Maybe it was, or maybe it was his way of saying sorry when words weren't enough. Either way, I took it. I'd earned it. I used part of it for the apartment, first month, security deposit, basic furniture. The rest went into savings. a safety net, a fresh start fund. And just like that, my story with Darren ended. Cut short, done, finished. No dramatic final confrontation, no closure conversation. Just papers signed, money transferred, and two people who'd once promised forever, now living separate lives. I didn't ask about what happened to him after I left. Didn't want to know. But information has a way of finding you anyway, especially in a town this size. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Aubrey moved in almost immediately after I left. Makes sense. She'd been kicked out by Trevor and had nowhere else to go. I heard their finances were tight. Darren's salary could support one person comfortably, maybe two. But add a baby on the way, Aubrey not working. She'd been let go from the call center once HR found out about the affair with her supervisor. And that settlement he'd paid me? They were struggling. I heard 6 months after the divorce was finalized that they got married. Quick courthouse ceremony, no reception. Trevor told me that part. We'd stayed in touch, texting every few weeks. Two people bound by the same betrayal, checking in on each other's healing. They got married last week, his text said. Thought you should know in case you hear it from someone else. Thanks for the heads up, I wrote back. How are you doing with all of it? Better. Moving to Vegas next month to be near my family. Fresh start. Trevor replied. That sounds good. Fresh start, I said. Exactly. How about you? How's the new place? He asked. Quiet, small, perfect, I replied. A few weeks after that, Trevor texted again. Aubrey had the baby, boy, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. I stared at that message for a long time. A baby. Darren had a son now. How do you know? I typed back. Mutual friend sent me a photo. They look happy, Trevor said. Of course they did. New baby, new marriage, new life, built on the ruins of 2 other marriages, but new nonetheless. Did you the paternity test? I asked. Yeah. Demanded it in the divorce settlement. Results came back. Not mine, obviously. The math never worked anyway, but I needed it official. For legal purposes. Had to prove definitively that kid isn't my responsibility, Trevor explained. I'm sorry you had to go through that, I said. Don't be. It's closure. Proof that everything I suspected was true. No gray area. Just facts, he replied. I understood that. Sometimes you needed the official confirmation, even when you already knew the truth. Good luck in Vegas. And Trevor, thank you for everything, for calling me that day, for the evidence, for checking in. You didn't have to do any of that, I said. Yes, I did. We were both victims of their choices. We deserved to know the truth. Take care of yourself, Lena, he replied. You too, I said. I set my phone down and looked around my small apartment. Evening sunlight filtered through the windows, casting golden squares on my secondhand sofa. It was quiet, peaceful. I thought about Darren's voicemail, about his apologies, his tears, his claim that he'd seen his future with me. Maybe he had. Maybe he really did love me in his own broken way. But it didn't matter anymore. Love without respect, without loyalty, without commitment, that wasn't real love. That was just words. I thought about Darren and Aubrey in that house with their new baby, playing family. I thought about whether they felt guilty or if they'd convinced themselves that this was always meant to be. Maybe they were happy. Maybe the baby cried all night and they were exhausted and struggling financially and realizing that real life wasn't as exciting as sneaking around had been. I didn't know. And the surprising thing? I didn't really care. My story with Darren was over. Done. The end. And for the first time in months, I was okay with that. I got up, made myself dinner, and ate it slowly while watching the sunset. Just me, in my little apartment, living my quiet life. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was mine. And that was enough.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Don't forget to follow for more content just like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.